Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Arabic Khatawaat. In this video, we're going to cover Al-Kitaab series, part 2 of lesson 3. In this part, we're going to discuss Al-A'ilah. Al-A'ilah, family. Al-A'ilah is a reference to larger family members. So we have to say Al-A'ilah, like you could see it here. Al-A'ilah, but if we're referring to a smaller family, Usra. When I say smaller, I mean just dad, mom, and siblings. So Usra, but Al-A'ilah, it has larger family members, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, and so on. So the first word we have is a reference to grandfather. Jadd, Jadd, grandfather, Jadd. Jadd. Then we have Ibn, Ibn, son, Ibn, Ibn. Jadda, Jadda, grandmother, Jadda, Jadda. As you can see, there is a ta marbuta over here, Jadda. Then we have Ab, Ab. And usually Ab is a short form of father, which is like dad. But father would be walid, walid. And on this part, what we have is just a few words that share the exact same root, which is waw, lam, and dal. Waw, lam, and dal have to do with the meaning of birth, birth, which is to be born, birth. So here we're going to go with dad for ab, then for mom, and walida would be mother, walida, walida. Then we have ibna, ibna, daughter, but we also say bint, bint. It means girl, but it also means bint, bint. The next word we have is mawlud, 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 newborn. And mawlud takes the gender of, which would be mawluda if it's a female or a girl, newborn girl. Mawluda. So I would just have to put fatha over here if I'm referring to a girl. Let's look at these words one more time without the translation and listening as I pronounce them. Jadd, Jadd, Ibn, Ibn, Jadda, Jadda, Ab, Ab, Ibna, Ibna, Mawlud, Mawlud. The words we have here, as I indicated earlier, is walid and walida, and then we have al-walidain. Walid for father, walida for mother, and walidain for parents. And then we have al-a'ilah for larger family, and then usra for smaller family. L and then S. Looking at these words, like we said, walid, walida, al-walidain, they share the same root, which is walad. We're going to look at some examples and then we'll see what other family members we have that share the same masculine, feminine, but there are some other indicators when it comes to learning which part of the family member you should be addressing and what words to use to refer to them, like uncles and aunts and so on. So going back to the root system, we have walid and then walida. They all share the walad form, walad as well, and then you have wa, la, and da. Walid is father, walida mother, walidain parents, so that way you're reviewing, and awlad kids, الأولاد, the kids. ولادة is given birth or birth. ولادة. مولود is newborn. Newborn. مولود and ولادة. مولود, since it refers to a person, it's not a noun of like an action. You can indicate the gender over here like we said earlier. So let's study this part. جدة, جدة. أم والدة, والدة. زوجة, زوجة. ابنة, ابنة. All of this is an indication to female or females. So we have a grandmother who could be a mother, of course, another form of mother. And then زوجة is wife. And ibna, we learned it to be daughter. The masculine form over here is جد, grandfather. جد, جد. Then we have أب, dad. And then والد, father. زوج, husband. So look at the words as we are reading them and try to memorize at the same time. Ibn is son. This is the most important part that we want you to focus on in this video, is how to differentiate between uncles being from your parents' sides, both sides. So here we have khal and khala, then we have am and amma. Both khal and am, khal and am, they mean uncle, and then both khala and amma mean aunt. But one of them is part of the mother's side, and the other one is part of the father's side. We'll learn that in the common part. Then the words we have is akh for brother, and then ukht for sister. When we talk about brothers or siblings, we say ikhwa. Ikhwa. Brothers and siblings. But if we're only saying sisters, we would say akhawat. Akhawat for sisters. But if we're referring to siblings and brothers, we would use ikhwa, siblings. The part that we need to focus on, that way we can practice it more again, is when we talk about paternal side and maternal side. When we're saying my paternal, we're referring to the father's side, so we say paternal, and that's walid, this is his side. When we're talking about his brother is my uncle, so this is uncle. Am, like you could see here, am. And then walida would be maternal side. And if I'm referring to her brother, I would be using the word khal, uncle. Same thing with females. If I'm saying his sister, or I'm referring to my aunt being my father's sister, I would say amma, which is aunt. Then if I'm referring to my mother's sister, I would say her sister, which means khala, she's my aunt. Khala, which is aunt. Again, the same thing or differentiation is also used to indicate cousins, but we do it in two ways. The first way is we indicate the gender by saying bint. Then we indicate the side of the family. Let's say the daughter of my aunt. Here we go. Bint khalati. Now I'm referring to my mother's side of the family, and my cousin from my mother's side of the family. The Arab culture is a collectivist society, so there are a lot of other family members that we would indicate as we talk about who they are, who do they belong to, and there's immediate family members and extended or far family members. So let's go back to saying bint khalati, my cousin from my aunt, my mom's side. And then if we're saying ibn khalati, I'm referring to gender and also the side. And in this case, I'm still talking about khala, my aunt. Khala, my aunt from my mother's side. Let's clear and see how we can talk about cousins from my father's side. So if I'm saying my uncle's, using my uncle's daughter, I would say bint ammi. Bint ammi. If I'm saying my cousin, I'm talking about my cousin from my aunt, being my aunt from my father's side, I would say ibn ammati. And again, this is quite a good opportunity to remember your family members and how you can place them in a family tree. We'll look at examples in real sentences. That way we can practice more. In this sentence we have bint khalati, bint khali, afwan, bint khali. This is my cousin, but I'm referring to my uncles as being my khali, my maternal uncle. So my cousin from my maternal uncle. She works, تعمل, referring only to his daughter, not to him. بنت خالي تعمل, works في in شركة, company, شركة أمريكية, American company. So my cousin works in an American company. If I say bint khali, whoever is listening to me would understand that I'm referring to my cousin from my mom's side, and my mom's side I'm talking about my uncle as khal. Khal. So khali, khali, my uncle, and bint khali, my cousin from my uncle. Now let's look at the other examples. So looking at the second example, I am reading this as khali طبيب في المستشفى. My uncle, and this uncle is the same as this one from my maternal side, so it would be khal. khali طبيب. My uncle is a doctor. khali طبيب, and this is medical doctor. In or at المستشفى, hospital. خالي طبيب في المستشفى. خالي طبيب في المستشفى. Now let's look at more examples. ابن عمتي, ابن عمتي, ابن عمتي, my cousin, but in this case we're saying the son of my aunt, but the son of my aunt is my paternal aunt, who is amma, and ibn is son, the son of my aunt, the son of my aunt. Sorry, my aunt, there you go. هو, when I say يعمل, I refer to the son. That's why I'm using the masculine version of the verb conjugation, which is ya, works, في, at or in, فرنسا, France. ابن عمتي يعمل في فرنسا. ابن عمتي يعمل في فرنسا. Let's look at another example. عمتي. عمتي, my aunt, and I used عمتي in both of these sentences. That way, when you look at the verb conjugation, you can tell that when I'm only referring to my aunt, this being my paternal aunt, I'm using تحب because that's feminine. تحب, she likes. السفر, traveling. She likes traveling. عمتي تحب السفر. عمتي تحب السفر. My aunt loves traveling or likes traveling. There are many other examples you can come up with, and what we have here, you can unscramble them, you can just have flashcards, but it would be nice to place family members in actual examples where you could also mention their names, saying something like جدتي جدتي فاطمة, my grandmother Fatima. تسكن, lives. تسكن معنا, with us. في, at or in. نفس, same. And here the would be the alif lam part of the noun بيت, house. My grandma Fatima lives with us in the same house. جدتي فاطمة, عفوا, جدتي فاطمة تسكن معنا في نفس البيت. جدتي فاطمة تسكن معنا في نفس البيت. Now let's look at the other example. والدي, والدي. The important part to remember here is that you have to pronounce the long vowel here to avoid saying my son. If you don't pronounce the alif by making waw long, saying wa, then you're going to end up saying waladi, waladi, which is my son. So walidi has the wa, but waladi doesn't have it, and that means my son. والدي, my father, يعمل, works, مع, with. جدي, my grandfather, I'll say جيبا. والدي يعمل مع جدي, my father works with my grandfather. The other example we have, and please pay attention as you are hearing all of these family members being repeated in different contexts using verb conjugation and prepositions of place. Here we have ibn خالتي, my cousin from my maternal aunt. يسكن, lives. يسكن في أوروبا. في أوروبا, lives in Europe. So this refers to my cousin. The other words we have, and this should be our last part, عائلتي, my family. تحب. And عائلة, family, is a feminine word. So if you're referring to it by stating an action like my family likes, my family lives, you'll have to use the feminine indication of verb conjugation. And then you place your verb here. This is only in the present tense. So عائلة is feminine. Same for أسرة. So you could say أسرتي تحب, my family likes. الأفراح, feasts. الأفراح, feasts. So that will be one of the ways you could practice family members. And family members is أفراد العائلة. أفراد العائلة. So that'll be all for this part of lesson 3 from Al-Kitab. If you have any questions, please make sure you indicate them in the comment section. And we'll see you in the upcoming video to cover lesson 4, part of Al-Kitab series. review sessions. Thank you for joining, and assalamu alaikum.